This is Erin Mastrantonio. How are you?
Oh, I'm good, thank you.
I've been thinking about you. We were going to get together over Thanksgiving, and it just didn't work out. And
I know. I was with my daughter, and then we went out of town to see my niece, and I just didn't make it, and I was sorry about it.
Oh, it's fine.
We've had so much going on. I ended up... Four of the great-grandsons were born, and we've had baptisms, and
tell me about the new babies.
I had one was born the last day of April. He'll be a year old now, and then one in June 1st will be a year old, then one September 8th, and the last one today is the 17th. No.
The 15th.
Today is the 15th.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the day after. I'm thinking of the 17th now. The 17th, he'll be 3 months old. He was born on November 17th.
Okay.
So he was the last. And he got baptized Saturday.
Oh, okay.
A party for him.
Now, whose kids are these? Who are the parents?
The oldest one is my daughter Janie's grandson.
Okay.
Her son and daughter-in-law. And then the second one is my son Jimmy's daughter, Rebecca and Brad. And the third one was my oldest daughter, Madeline's grandson. And the last one was my son Sam.
Uh-huh.
So...
Okay.
They were my four first children. The oldest on down to four of them. So in other words, my daughter Angie and Mary Jo, their children are, Angela's are too small. The one on Washington's birthday will turn 7. And then she has a 10 and a 17-year-old. And Mary Jo has 3 daughters. One's married, and one's in the Air Force. And the youngest is 23, and she's, I guess she, over there at Arnott, she's taken up how to do x-rays and stuff. But and she's not married. So it was my first 4 children.
Wow, your first 4 great-grandchildren.
Yeah, they're wives, and we were so happy. I didn't have any great-grandchildren. I got 4 of them 1 year.
What are all their names, the babies?
Well, the oldest one now is Cody, C-O-D-Y. The second one is M-A-S-O-N, Mason. Mm-hmm. And the third one is Justin Jr., after the dad. And the last one, the 3-month-old, is Jackson.
Aww.
So,
that's cute.
I guess the kids don't talk too much about, naming them after the dad like they used to do years ago, but
yeah,
it's out their own, what they like, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But tell me, honey, I didn't hear much about Marion. How's she doing?
No, she's okay. She's still at Elcor.
She is, honey.
Yes. And
she's been doing good.
Yeah, she's been doing fairly well. I mean, she's been a little bit more active lately, and getting out of bed a little and feeling just a little bit better. So
that's good.
Yeah. I call about once a week and check in with her nurse. It's difficult to talk with her on the phone because she can't hear you. So you can't call her because, she just couldn't hear what you're saying.
Oh, I know, because I tried to get her, and it says, spell her name, and I don't know, what is that? Instead of connecting me with Marion to talk to her. They want you to spell her name.
Oh, well, see, that won't even work because that's just for the staff. Yeah, but I mean, you can call if you'd like to try. The better way to do it is to actually dial her residence. If you dial the main number and then you say that you want to be connected with the Maple Creek residence, that's where she's staying, and she's in Maple Creek Valley. So
Maple Creek, okay.
Yeah, and Maple Creek. So once you get connected with Maple Creek, then they'll ask you if you want Maple Creek Gardens or Maple Creek Meadows or Maple Creek Valley, and so you'll just tell them you want Valley. And then when someone picks up the line, you just say you want Erin Mastrantonio, and they'll connect you.
All right, I'll try that.
Yeah. But it's a little bit, sometimes they can't get her to the phone right away because she has to actually get out of bed and walk to the nurse's station because she doesn't have a phone in her room.
I see.
Yeah. So it's a little hard for her. I tried to get a phone put in her room, and she didn't want one because she always told me that she doesn't like...
Yeah, she's not much for chatting.
Right.
You know? So, no use doing it.
Right.
Well, I went to Sarah last Wednesday and had a new pacemaker put in.
Oh, did you?
The other one they took out was 9 years I had it. And they said I needed a new one.
Mm-hmm.
So I went down and had that done. Now I have to go tomorrow, and they're going to check it.
Mm-hmm.
To see if it's, be sure it's not infected, and I guess adjust to whatever number it's got to be.
Okay. Are you feeling good? Do you feel good?
Well, I can't complain. For an old lady, I'm not going to complain. I've had, so many years given to me that I'm just thankful, and I really,
Yeah.
not going to say that I don't feel good. For an old lady, I feel good.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Yeah, I actually was just up in Elmira over the weekend. I got back on Tuesday morning.
I see.
I went up because my mother's father passed away, and we had his funeral on Monday.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. His name was in the paper, John Kabinski.
Yes, I saw that, but I didn't know that was...
Yeah, that's my mother's father, so...
I didn't read it because I didn't recognize the name.
Yeah, well, my name is listed in the obituary, and my husband's name, and my grandmother wrote the obituary, and she listed everybody. It was a long obituary, but and it was a nice memorial service we had for him. So. Well,
that was nice.
Yeah, I was.
Though it happened.
Yeah, and we got stuck with the snow up there. We got stuck.
Oh, why? Well, ours wasn't so bad here in Elmira compared to Washington.
Yeah.
I have my cousin there in Baltimore, and they have so much snow out there. She said they're expecting another storm.
Yeah, well, they got another storm over the weekend, and that's why we were stuck, because it's not so much the snow in New York, but it was the snow down here, and then trying to plan a trip to come back to here.
Yeah.
So we got stuck a little while, and I was thinking, if I had some time, I would try to come see you, but then we ended up leaving Elmira, and we actually got stuck in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. We tried to make a run for it just to see, because I have all-wheel drive on my car, and I thought we might be able to make it, but we didn't. We got stuck in Pennsylvania, and we had to stay there for 2 nights at a hotel.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, and then we finally made it back here, so... But I really had wanted to come see you. It just didn't work out, and it wasn't enough notice anyway. I feel bad when I don't give you a lot of notice when I'm coming.
Well, that's all right. I just felt bad that last time we done, between going to see the niece and all, and I wasn't even here, so.
Yeah.
But I had the opportunity, and I took it because I.
Oh, I think you should have, yeah. Yeah. Oh, I'm not upset at you. I think, you did what you had to do, and I was just worried that, something had happened to you, and then I don't know if your daughter told you, I called Janie.
Yeah, Janie told me.
Yeah.
About it.
Well, anyway, I was just glad you were okay.
Yes, I was.
It
was just because I wasn't here, and I felt bad because I know we had planned it, but
yeah,
I didn't make it.
Well, what are you doing right now? Would you like to talk about the family, or do you have some time, or are you doing something else?
Oh, well, no, I'll be truthful with you. My daughter's coming in a little bit. I kept the 2 boys overnight.
Okay.
But if you want to ask me any questions, I will try to answer them for you.
Okay. Well, I don't have a lot of real specific questions. I was going to ask you to talk about, since I don't know a lot about your brothers and sisters, and particularly my grandfather, Antonio, just to talk about them and to talk about him and whatever you want to tell me.
Well, Tony and I were very, very close because we're only a year and 2 months apart, and he just seemed to be, such a wonderful brother and very good to me. Of course, the family with all the sickness and all we had, we were very close anyway. But I do know that after graduation and it was the war, and he went into the service. And him and Mom were, him and Grandma had gotten married when he was in the service. Now, I do recall my sister Catherine and him were married the same year.
Oh, okay.
And that was we got married in 46, and they got married the year before. Now, Tony and Marion, I'm sure, was the one that got married when it was Eleanor Roosevelt that died, and they couldn't shoot the horns. Did Grandma ever tell you?
No, tell me the story.
Yeah. She had a beautiful wedding, Marion and Tony did. And Ruby and Harold and me and my brother Angelo were us four stood for the wedding, But I do recall, I'm sure it was Harold and Ruby, me and my brother Angelo, who is the second oldest brother, was Tony, and then the next brother was Louis. So I do recall that we couldn't toot the horns on account of the death of the Eleanor Roosevelt.
Oh.
And then Tony went across, and of course Marion, at the time being in war, she wasn't able to go with them. But that's as far as saying him going in the service. But then, while he was in the service, I believe it was when he and 2 other fellows were knocked down, and he bumped his head and started a tumor. It takes a bump to activate the tumor.
Oh, does it?
And I'm sure it was when he was in the service. It was when it happened. So after that, it was just mostly sickness with the brain tumor.
Yeah. Yeah, I see here on my records that they got married on April 14th, 1945.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And did it say anything about Roosevelt?
No, well, I didn't know that story, so this is just from my own records.
Maybe, maybe you can find out something about... I'm almost sure it was his funeral that day, and we were told not to toot the horns.
On the car?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
You know how when they ride around?
Right.
Years ago, they used to go around the block and all over to say, you know, the marriage. They don't do it much now, but back then they always used to do it. Yeah. And but does it say, do you have down Ruby and Harold?
I do.
And me and Angela, I think, for us. So
yeah, I have the picture of you guys. I have the portrait of you all standing next to each other.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. Well, what was Tony like as a kid? Your brother.
Well, very active in school. All three of my... Well, Tony, I shouldn't say... I know Tony and Louis didn't play sports, but in school, Tony and Henry especially, they did the football and basketball.
Oh, okay.
And Tony was very smart. He was a very good student.
What was his favorite subject?
Well, I don't really recall. As far as saying what he took in school was just regular subjects. You know, I don't think it was anything he was aiming to do when he got out of school, because it was during the war and they didn't, you know, they just wanted to finish school. But Tony did graduate. The only three that graduated out of the 8 of us was Tony, Henry, and myself. Now, my brother Angelo and Alex quit in their 11th grade.
Okay.
And so Tony did finish school, and then same as Henry, is when they finished their school, they went right into service. So, like I say, being Tony had the trouble after with the brain tumor, he didn't, but Tony was a carpenter.
Right.
He made a beautiful little table for Mom, and she always kept it next to her bed to put her glasses on. Oh. And he cherished that little table.
Oh, is this table
Tony
still around?
Well, Tony was... I'm sorry?
Is the table still around?
Not to my knowledge, unless it could be, but I have no... You know, I can't say exactly for sure. I know my sister lived in the homestead, now her daughter. So whether that stayed in the homestead, I don't know. I know that Mom made a lot of use of it. But Tony was a carpenter, and he was very, very good. There was a home on Water Street, and you've probably heard about how he made the winding stairway, and then all of that got tore down on Water Street to put up the motel. And the ladies and man that owned the home that had the stairway, they took it out and brought it to where they built a home. So that same stairwell is still in existence.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
On Water Street?
Well, it's not on Water Street. It was on Water Street.
Right.
The house. See, they had homes over there. All that whole field there of Holiday Inn were all homes.
Oh, okay.
And she had the winding stairway. She was a nurse to Dr. Murphy. And she had Tony do the stairway. And it was a winding one, you know. It went on around. It was...
Oh, that's neat. I've never heard the story about that.
And when they tore down the homes, she took the stairwell and brought it to her new place.
Okay. Do you know where that is?
No, I really don't. This is so many years ago that Holiday Inn came, here, and I don't know just for sure about the family because, well, she would be older than me anyway. So I don't know if she's still living. To say, they sold the home and she was put in a home or anything. I bet I didn't hear anymore, just that they did admire their stairwell. She wouldn't give it up. She had it put in her new home.
That's neat.
But Tony was very good so in school he took, the shop. You know how they do vocational? Tony did the shop. He liked carpenter work. He was very good at that.
Yep.
I woke up yesterday with a frog in my throat, and I
have one too, actually.
I was going to say I'm not talking very decent, but
that's okay.
That's what's wrong.
That's okay. What other brothers or sisters were you really close with?
Well, we were all close, all of us. But Tony and myself and everybody was at least 2 years, and Henry and Angela were 4 years apart. But being Tony and me, we walked to school together. We were very close as far as just being a year and 2 months, because his birthday, of course, is in March and mine is in May. And so for the year and 2 months difference, I know that I don't know if you're familiar with Keystone Avenue in Sayre.
Keystone?
Where they had the skating rink and all that on Keystone Avenue in Sayre.
I'm not so familiar with the Sayre area.
Well, that's the a big main road. When you go from the high school to West Elmira, that Keystone Avenue is the main road that runs through there. And they always, every summer, had, the way Elmira has their fair, we have a fair every year. Well, we used to have it in Sayre, and my father used to get 2 free tickets from the Lehigh shop. So Tony was told to keep an eye on me, and me and Tony walked from East Side to Keystone Avenue, which is a good hike, good 3-4 miles, and we were able to get in the fair with them tickets and walk around. We didn't have any money to spend, but we got to go to the fair every year when my father brought. My mother didn't let the other ones go, just me and Tony.
Oh, okay.
We used to go, so I always had, I was close to Tony as far as I said, and so we got to go together to the fair every year, and I enjoyed that.
Well, that's great.
And I did tell you how Tony was good about bringing me to the prom.
To the prom?
Didn't I tell you?
No.
Oh, didn't I? All right, just one moment.
Okay.
Nicholas, Tony, lower the TV, man. He wants to talk, okay? Well, I was in my... Tony was in the service, and he came home. And on leave, and I made a remark to my mom, the boy that asked me to go to the prom, but I didn't care for it.
Yeah.
So I told him, I said, no, I don't think my mother would, care for me to go to the prom. I was blaming my mother, but I didn't care for the boy. Well, then the one that did ask me, another boy asked me, And that was the one I wanted to go to prom with. And my mother said, no, you refused one boy. You can't go with another boy.
Oh.
And I said, but he's the one I wanted. No, she said. I won't forget, I wore my sister's, when she got married, it was a cranberry color. It was velvet on top and taff at the bottom. And my brother Tony, of course, he was in from the service on a leave. And he said to my mother, how about if I take Angie to the prom? Oh, yes, if you take her, it's okay. So, Tony took me, and Ralph Cavello rode with Tony, and he took Irene, this girlfriend of mine, and we went to the prom. Tony says, this way you go to the prom, you could dance with the boy you wanted to.
Aww.
Well, after the prom, Tony and myself and Ralph and Irene, we went to, there was Mountaintop next to O'Brien's on the hill, and we went there and had hamburger and hot chocolate.
Hamburger and hot chocolate.
And then Tony brought Ralph and Irene, dropped them off, and we went on home. So that was my prom night.
Aw. So, is your original homestead, is that still standing in Sayre?
My homestead? My mom's house.
Your mom and dad's house, yeah, the house you grew up in.
Yes, my oldest sister's daughter, Carol Ann, has got the home.
Oh.
Yes. And she's remodeled it. She's put hardwood floors in. She's, her husband, and her husband, I believe, at the time, he drives a truck. You know, these big, long overhaul trucks, you know. His job. And she was working for, I don't know now what Carol's doing, but I know she was working in Waverly at the, where they sell kitchen cabinets and things. And she worked there. Now she has 5 children, I think. The youngest just graduated. I think this is the 3rd year now. I went to his graduation 3 years ago. So the other ones are all, you know, they're all grown up. Her youngest boy is Jason, and he graduated 3 years ago. They invited me to the party. The graduation party.
Have you seen the house since it's been remodeled?
Oh yes, I've been in it.
How is it different than when you grew up in it?
Well, Carol, now see, when I lived there, we never went in the living room. That was, we always used to say, that was for the dead people. My mom and dad had a mother and father, and her brother, Alex, and my sister, Catherine. They were all laid out in the living room.
Oh.
Now Carol Ann has this big curved sectional. She has her TV in there. And Dad used to always have a 9x12 rug. And the outside edge is a little small 3/4 inch hardwood floor. And he used to paint around the edge because instead of leaving it the hardwood color, he had put this, every now and then, he would paint around the rug, so it looked nice, but he was covering up this beautiful hardwood.
Yeah.
Well, Carol Ann stripped it all, the whole all the way around. She stripped all that paint off.
Mm-hmm.
She did a finished job on all of the wood, even where the rug was.
Mm-hmm.
She has just a hardwood floor in there now. But that is her living room. They do go in there and, watch TV.
Mm-hmm.
And from the kitchen, there's the big dining room. And Carolyn has that all fixed. Now, I ran a beauty shop, and there's a little room off on the side of the dining room. And after I got married, it was hard for me to go back and forth to the beauty shop. So Mom made it where she had like a twin bed put in there. She had her washer and dryer, and because they had all the, fixtures. I had my sink and chair in there to do the hair.
Mm-hmm.
That corner where the sink was, she put a shower. And then she had her washer and dryer. And then she had her little bed so she could lay there rather than going upstairs. And then when my sister lived there, the oldest sister, before her daughter took over, she lived in the house. And she used to use that for her bedroom too. But now they have it where it's just the washroom. So beautiful big cellar. The whole length of the house is a nice cellar, but the washer and dryer is upstairs in that little room. And the kitchen, she remodeled that. It's all. Mom had the wood stove, and when I was growing up, my father, every summer, my father would blacktop. He put this black finish on this wood cooking stove. That's what it was, Mom did her bread. And in the summer, she did it in the neighbor's oven down the street. She didn't like the stove in the summertime. She, for doing bacon, and all that, just cooked on the top.
Okay.
But not on the oven. She didn't use her oven.
Wow. Well, how big was the house? How many, bedrooms did it have?
Well, upstairs at the top of the steps is a bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
The front of the house is the biggest bedroom. That there is, I would say maybe all of like a 14 by 16 bedroom. And then down the hall is for us girls, and over the kitchen is a bedroom. So there's 4 bedrooms up, and they're in the hallway. We used to have to go downstairs. We were real small when people then were doing away with the outhouse, which we had. And
you had an outhouse?
Yeah.
Oh.
And that was at the end of our lot, where our garden was. We had the outhouse, but we were little. But at night we had the potty that we went in, and then Mom emptied it in the daytime. But then my father had the bathroom put in, and that's off the kitchen, the bathroom.
Oh, so you only had one bathroom?
One bathroom, and upstairs he had the toilet put in.
Okay.
Upstairs in the hall, there was this one closet, and she had the toilet put in up there.
Do you remember about how old you were when he put in the toilet? Or the bathroom?
Yes, I was married when she had that. I had just gotten married.
Oh, okay. So you weren't very little.
No, I wasn't little when the toilet upstairs was put in. But I was very little when I wasn't even going to school when we had the downstairs toilet put in.
Oh, okay.
The toilet, bathtub, and the sink. Then upstairs was the toilet and the sink.
Okay.
Now, I don't know now. I assume she still has that, but, you know, the toilet upstairs.
Yeah.
But I do know that she's got all the bedrooms are upstairs and that little room downstairs she can use it. Whether I don't think there's a bed in it now that my sister's passed away.
Mm-hmm.
She's has probably no use for it. Just has it as washroom.
Yeah. Okay. Well, were there
but
any...
It is a big home.
Okay. Was there anything special in particular about the house that you remember, like any special items or just like any special part of it that you liked?
Well, I don't know, not too much in the house itself. I do know that when we were little, off of the kitchen, like I said, is the bathroom on one side, and then on the other side you go in it and you go up a flight of steps to get upstairs. So not only did we have the front steps, we also had the steps off the kitchen that could bring you up to the bedroom.
Okay.
And there was a big hanging porch. We were little when Pop tore that off. But we used to love to go up there and play house. My sister Catherine, 2 years younger than me. And we used to go up there and we used to, have fun playing. But that was what I enjoyed in the house was that hanging overhang porch,
Yeah.
And even my mom and dad and us kids used to go up there and sit, and the faces that's the back of our house, so it faced the Lehigh shop, and we saw the trains going by, and it was, being we were up high like that, we were able to see all of the Lehigh shop. As the trains went by, they were busy back then. We used to have trains going all the time. Now it's nothing down there. All those trains are, I think, different companies are paying to have park their trains there. And every now and then they do move them, but not like they did that years ago.
Did you have any pets?
Any what?
Any pets, like any animals?
I had a dog, and we did have a cat, but the one dog I had, I walked to school to go to high school, and the dog followed me, and I kept trying to get it to go home. The dog got hit by a car. So my dad got the dog. Back then, they buried it behind our garage, the dog.
What was your dog's name?
That was, Spotty. I yelled, Spotty, go home, but he wouldn't go home, and then I knew I had to leave him to go to school.
Yeah. What kind of a...
But he stayed in town where it was busy.
Yeah.
Followed me up, but I couldn't go back home to bring him. I'd been late for school.
What kind of a dog was he?
Oh, like a little beagle.
Aw.
And, but I thought the world of him. And we did have a cat. I'm trying to think. It was like a gray tiger cat. And I don't remember for sure what we did call the cat. I just think we used to say kitty, kitty, and that was it. I don't know if we gave it a name.
Okay.
But that was all. We weren't much for animals. Mom, they were the only two we had. the dog, and then we didn't have any more dogs. And then usually back then everybody had a cat, but as for the dog, that was the only one I had.
Okay. Oh, geez. I'm just trying to think of any other questions. What about, are there any, like, I've always wondered if there are any heirlooms in the family, like any special photos or Bibles or any kind of jewelry that has been passed down through the family?
Well, as far as, no, I do know now, like there is Mom and Dad's wedding picture, and when they got married, and then that was put in the dining room, a beautiful big oval frame.
Okay.
And right next to it is my oldest sister, a baby, and my father's brother came from Italy, and he's in the picture. Mom, Dad, my sister, and my uncle.
Oh.
So those two were always in the dining room. So if Carol's got them now, I don't know. I haven't been in her house. When we had the parties, we had it at Carol's sister, because she had the outdoor swimming pool. They held the graduation party at their sister's house, and that's down in Athens. So see, I haven't been when my sister passed away in 92. No, she passed away in 2002. I'm sorry. She passed away in 2002. They had, like, after the funeral, they had a reception at my sister's. So really, I haven't been there.
Okay.
Now, this past 7-8 years. Because since then, they've held 2 parties. My Carol's sister's husband, they invited me to his 50th, where the swimming pool was. That's their home, and so I got to go there. So I really haven't been in. My sister took over the homestead. I wasn't there since the funeral, and then Carol Ann, of course, lived there, but that's when she started to remodel and do things, and like I say, I haven't been there since.
So now, which sister is Carol Ann's mother? Is that Catherine?
My sister Catherine had 1 baby, and it was a little girl. She called it Angel. And it was an 8-month baby. In November, she had the baby on All Saints Day.
Oh.
And then in December is when she ended up in the hospital, and she fell and bumped her head, and she went in a coma until finally they got my mom to and Dad to give consent to take the wires, you know.
Yeah.
Breakfast time. Oh, okay. They had to, you know, what they did is they, being she was in a coma, then was wired up like that. They turned it off because there was no hope for her.
Yeah. So Carol, who was Carol Ann's mother?
This is my oldest sister's daughter. My oldest sister, we called her Cridgy.
Cridgy, okay.
Yeah, and she always went by Mary. Her real name is Cridgevisa. Her middle name was Mary, but she always went by Cridgy, and when she wrote her name on anything, it was Mary.
Oh, because Cridgevisa is a family name. That was, like,
yes,
what, a great-grandparent?
That was my father's mother's name.
Pridgevasa. Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. And it's her daughter, Carol.
Okay. All right.
So Carol is my oldest sister's daughter. See, now Louie, my brother Louie, lived with Mom after my father died.
Mm-hmm.
And then Louie got married, and he turned the house over to my sister. So my sister was renting, my sister Cridge was renting down the street from my mother. So what she did is her family, of course, was growing up and leaving. So she took over my mother's house when Louie passed away.
Okay. All right. So what about, can you tell me a little bit more about your mom and dad? Because I don't know much about Celia and Joe.
Well, my dad put my mom on a pedestal. He thought the world of my mother.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very close.
Mm-hmm.
He'd do anything for my mom. He took care of her mother that was an invalid. The father had a stroke, and he took care of him. The brother broke his back in the Lehigh, and my father was a short man but big hands. And my uncle that broke his back was a tall a man. But my father would pick him up out of bed and put him on. He took the seat off of the chair, so he put my uncle on this chair with the potty underneath to go to the bathroom.
Oh.
And then, of course, when for my mom's mother, he used to put his arms under her and walk to the bathroom, and then my mom would take over. And for the father-in-law, so you don't get many men that would take care of sick like my father did.
Yeah.
I always said his name was Joseph, but he was a saint. He was so wonderful. And
wow.
he cut everybody's hair, the boys I'm talking about, on the east side. Maybe I told you about that.
No.
Well, there was a little barber shop over there by Nan Gilardo's food place.
Mm-hmm.
But it was called Savino's Barber Shop. Well, all these Ukrainian boys, they didn't have brush cuts. They used to part their hair and comb it off on the side. Now, that's how Tony always did his hair, and Louie. But my brother Angelo and Babe wore their hair like my father. They brush it back.
Oh.
But Tony and Louie always had nice hair. They parted it and all. Well, all these Ukrainian boys, of course, you know, we came from big families, they say, and they couldn't afford to get their hair cut. Mm-hmm. My father didn't charge them, and he used to cut their hair.
Oh, wow.
Well, Mr. Savino got a hold of my father, and he said, you know, you're taking away my business. He said, I don't charge them.
Yeah.
He says, I know, but they need their hair cut. They would pay me if you would do their hair. And my father says, well, if they come to my house to get their hair done, I'm not going to refuse them.
Yeah.
He says, so if you could talk them to come and get their hair done at your place, that's up to you. They kept cutting their hair till as they got older, then of course got jobs, and then they did go to the barber shop.
What did Joseph, I mean, he wasn't a barber though. What did he do for a living?
Was that my father?
Yeah.
My father was a certified welder for the Lehigh.
Oh.
He welded on the one, you know, they made the, in the Lehigh shop, they made things that had to be welded. Mm-hmm. My father took up the trade, and my father was a certified welder.
Was that for the railroad?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
and he walked from my house, our house where we lived. He walked from there to the very last shop in the Lehigh is where the welding was. I would say it was like a 2-mile walk.
Mm-hmm.
Because that Lehigh is good, maybe like 3 miles. And there's land after that,
Mm-hmm.
So he would walk every morning to work and walk home at night. And my sister Catherine and me, we used to go over and meet him when we weren't allowed to go into the land of the Lehigh.
Mm-hmm.
But we waited on the sidewalk, and then we walked home with him, which was just 2 blocks.
Oh, that's nice.
That we walked every night. We used to go walk home with Pop. Yeah.
Aw. Do you remember anything about your dad's parents, your grandparents?
No, because my grandparents, when my grandfather died at 45, my grandmother with the stroke. My grandmother died, as they said, high blood pressure, but it was a brain tumor. She died at 43. I was 1 year old. My mother was expecting my sister Catherine when her mother died. And Catherine and me are 2 years. So see, I was only like a year or so old. I can remember things from 4 years on, because I do know that my brother Louie, there was my sister Cridge, Tony, me, Catherine, and then Louie.
Mm-hmm.
So my mother left Cridgie, Tony, and Catherine with my mother's aunt, which was her mother's sister. And that's Mrs. Sandroni there in Milltown. And she took me, I was 4, and Louie was a brand new baby. And we went out to Philadelphia because her brother was in the service in the Navy. And we went out and got him.
Oh.
And so I can remember things from 4 years old on, but under that, I was too little.
What is your earliest memory?
My earliest memory was that 4-year-old going on that trip in the Lehigh train to bring back my uncle.
Okay. Which uncle was it? What is his name?
This is my mother's youngest brother. His name is Peter Poncello.
Oh, okay.
And he lived after he got married. Him and his wife lived there close to my mom and dad's house. But then they moved to Philadelphia, and that's where he had the homestead when he died.
Okay.
So.
What about your mother's parents, Antonio and Catherine, I guess, Quattrini?
Yeah. Her name was Catherine Quattrini, and I don't know, except that they came when my mother was 2. I don't know anything about, them getting married and all that, because they got married in Italy, and my mother was 2 when they brought her to New York to see the specialist for her eyes. She was born with the white pupil on her eye, and she had no sight in it.
Oh, your mother Celia had no sight in one eye?
One eye. She didn't have any sight.
Which eye?
And
was it the...
It was the brain tumor. My mom carried... Her mother had it, and see, her father didn't have it. He died with stroke. But my mother's mother had it. My mother had it. And then she had a brother, a sister, another sister, and a brother. So my mom was born in Italy. And then when they came to America 4 years after, my a mother's brother. His name was Alex. A sister's name was Conchetta.
Mm-hmm.
Then she had the sister Antoinette and the brother Peter. Well, they all lived. But then she had, and we tried so hard to find out, the little 2-year-old, but I never thought to ask my mother, but I did ask my aunt. She didn't know the 2-year-old's name. And then she had, my grandmother had that 2-year-old that died. Then she had a baby that was stillborn, and they just called it baby. Then she had another baby that lived long enough to be baptized, and that one died. So she did have the 3 boys that died.
Oh, that's so sad. I just knew about the one that they called Mimi, the boy.
What was his name?
Mimi. It was on a gravestone in the cemetery next to where Catherine and Antonio are buried. There's a gravestone that says Mimi.
Well, see, now that the 2 that are buried, the 2-year-old and the one that was baptized, they're above my mom and dad's grave, going up on the hill, away from my mom, above her. Those 2 are buried there. Then the one that's buried on the very top is the one that died of stillborn. They weren't able to be back then buried in with the rest of the people. Anybody who wasn't baptized, they have a plot by themselves.
Oh, okay.
Now, where my mom's mother and father is, that's where my brother Louie is. But there wasn't any babies there except my sister's baby. And when she died in December, the month after, they took the baby from my mother's grave. The baby was buried with my grandmother. But then when my sister died, my mom had the 4th plot, and her pa is in the front, and on the back is her brother Alex and my sister and the baby.
Okay.
But this Mimi, I don't know what that would be.
Okay, well it says that it was a boy. It was her son, but I'm not sure why they called him Mimi.
No.
I don't know.
There wasn't anybody buried there except my sisters, and she had the girl, and she called it Angel.
Okay. Wow. Well.
And she's buried with my mom and dad and her uncle, which is my mom's brother. The one that broke his back. And over there, my grandma's just grandma, grandpa, and my brother Louie.
Okay.
So there isn't any babies there with him.
So did you ever get to go to Italy?
I almost would have gotten there back in 97. My brother Henry in Vegas died in 96, and he married a girl from Liverpool. And every year she went out because she had a brother out there and his wife and family, and my brother Henry would go with her to England. Well, he died in 96. So in 97, she didn't get to go to England in 96. So in 97, she asked me would I go with her.
Oh.
We tried awfully hard to make reservations to go to Italy, but she wanted to go too, and she's never gotten there. So we weren't able to do we were there for 2 weeks, but we weren't able to make connections with the plane and all.
Oh, wow.
But my mom did go to meet all her in-laws, and that was back in let's see now. My sister-in-law passed away that same year, the year the President Kennedy was shot, on Friday.
Oh.
Mom went that June.
Okay.
Now, my father went back to Italy 2 years before that and went with the Sons of Italy, and they flew out, and she would not fly. So my father, 2 years after my father went, they went by boat.
Mm-hmm.
And then when my father passed away, she took the plane and went to Vegas to my brother Henry and Ethel's house.
Mm-hmm.
And she flew out, and she just loved it.
Oh, good.
She said, I wish it was back, and I would have went with Pa to Italy with the plane. I loved the airplane.
Oh.
So she did get to ride the airplane to Vegas. And stayed there that summer and enjoyed with Henry and his wife and 2 children.
Do the Mastrantonios still have family over there, or the Pincellos, or the Cucinis?
Are you talking about
Over in Italy? Do you know if we have family in Italy?
Yes, I was writing to my father's. When my grandmother Crigivisa died, she left this year and a half old boy. His name was Enrico in Italian. And he wrote to me after my father died. He continued to write to me to tell me what was going on in Italy. And then what happened is he passed away. Mm-hmm. My father's brothers and sisters died with heart attacks.
Oh.
But he passed away, and the son, Ercole, E-R-C-O-L-E, he writes to me. And his wife, Rita, and he has children.
Oh.
So we keep in touch, but used to be more during the year I would write, but now I just kind of Christmas and Easter card.
Mm-hmm.
About all I do.
What are your father's brothers and sisters' names? Well, your aunts and uncles.
Well, as far as I thought, didn't you have the names of them down? I believe it was.
Well,
now,
I have.
The oldest one was, his oldest brother was Peter.
Okay. Yeah, I have him.
You have him. And then, I don't know if Lawrence was, I know my father was the third brother. Oh, I think it was a sister. First I thought, maybe I'm wrong, but I think it was Peter, then a sister, then my father, then he had a brother, Lawrence, which, then there was Alex. Well, I think the sisters, you had told me their name, Teresa, Rose, and...
yeah, there's one named Lucia, and then there's another named Teresa.
Lucy, Teresa, and was it Rose? There's 3 sisters.
Let me see. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 brothers and one...
No, there's 4 brothers, and my father made 5.
Okay.
There's 5. See, like I said, there's 5 boys and 3 girls in my father's family. There was 5 boys, 3 girls in my mother's family, and my mom and dad had 5 boys and 3 girls.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the 3 of them.
Okay.
They were all 5 boys and 3 girls.
That's funny. Now, I do have 3 sisters, but there's one named Louise.
Louise, Teresa,
and Lucy.
and Lucy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure I had them all right because...
Yeah, I think that was it. And the brothers, I know the youngest one was Henry. They called him Enrico in Italian.
Okay.
But I know the five. There was Peter and my father and Alex, Henry. I'm almost sure it was Lawrence because I know your grandma Marion called Larry.
Yes.
She was going to call him Joseph.
Oh.
Instead, my brother Louis called his son Joseph. So when Marion had Larry, his name is James.
Right.
And the middle name is Lawrence.
Right.
Larry. Yeah. But whether or not my father, I'm trying to think, I thought back then I was wondering if there was a Larry, a Lawrence, or if she made a mistake and it was a different name.
Yeah, I don't see, there is no Larry, there's an Alexander. And
Alexander is, that's
and there's
one of the middle ones. Yeah.
Right.
Well, it would be the oldest one was Peter. And then, like I say, I think it was a sister next. But then there was my father was the third child. And then he had this one that questions me, whatever his name was. And then they had Alex and Henry. There was five of them. But the one, like you say, what did you say his name was now?
I just have Peter and Henry and Alexander.
Peter. So it was Peter then. All right. So then it would be.
See, I'm missing a boy because I only have 4 boys.
Yes, I was going to say. See, now you have. My Uncle Pete was the oldest one. My father was the third child, so whether he had a brother or a sister before him, let's see, there was Peter, Alex, Henry, and my father, Joseph.
Yeah, that's all I have. So if he had another brother...
There's a brother that is, I would say, like deformed. He's very short-waisted from the neck to his waist. He's got regular-sized legs, but he's kind of deformed from his neck to his waist. Okay. Very short. And he's the one that I'm puzzled on his name. And you don't have...
I don't have it, no. I just have the 4 boys.
Well, I don't think it was Lawrence, but maybe it was for Marion. Could have asked Mom, Pa, what was his other brother's name, because my brother Louis' son, my brother Louis took for his son Joseph. You know, he called his son Joseph. So maybe Marion could have asked Mom, Pa for another brother, and that one was Lawrence. Okay. So if you want to jot Lawrence, we'll see if we could find out if that was the other brother. If you can look that one up to see if there is a Lawrence, Marion could have asked my mom and dad, you know, for another brother. Yeah. Because she probably figured, like Henry had a son, but Henry called his son Barry, Barry. And she probably thought she wouldn't take their names, you know, Henry, because he would call. So maybe she did take this Lawrence. Okay, well, I'll try to find that out. Yeah, find out if that's
I'll ask Grandma.
I was just going to say, if you talk to Grandma, say, how would you come about calling Larry?
Right.
What name did he? So if he said that, if she says that was after Pa's brother, then you know it's Lawrence.
Okay.
But I do know that Jimmy, my Jim, was godfather, and his name is James. So I'm sure Larry's name was James Lawrence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's definitely right.
So the only thing I could think of is Marion could have called him the Lawrence after my father's brother. That's the one we don't have.
Right. Well, I'll try to find out, but Angie,
Yeah,
I think I'm gonna let you go, and
Yes.
I have to go too. But thank you so much for everything.
Well, I probably wasn't much help.
No, you were. No, it's wonderful.
Well, I do know what I have to do for you, and that was to find out my sister Critchy's husband's birthday. Now,
Yeah.
the day he died was in April, either on her birthday, the 27th, or the 26th. But his birthday, and I have talked with his daughter, my sister's youngest daughter.
Mm-hmm.
I've talked with her, and I'm going to find out when her father's birthday is. You wanted to know. I gave you birthdays of my sisters and brothers.
Yeah.
And then I didn't have Marty. Martin is his name. I didn't have his birthday.
Right.
So I'll try to get that for you.
Okay.
Okay, and it's so nice talking, Erin.
Yes. Thank you again. I'll call again, and we can keep talking about the family or whatever you want to talk about.
All right. and you try to find out from Marion about the one brother.
Okay.
Well, how would she come about calling him Lawrence? And
Okay.
see if that's Pa's brother.
Okay. All right. You have a great day.
Thank you. Okay, bye-bye now. I love you.
I love you too, Zizzy Angie.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.